On this week's edition of BS with AJ, we're going to be installing a dryer vent. Stick around. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of BS with AJ. As I said before, this week we're going to be installing a dryer vent. We recently moved our dryer from one room to the other, and now we need to run the vent through the brick wall to get outside. It's going to be a lot of work. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so here's some of the tools and materials you're going to need for this project. Now we're going to be going through a wood wall and a brick wall. Now for our wood wall, we're going to be using this jigsaw here to cut out the hole. And for the brick wall, we're going to be using our hammer drill and a 3/8 inch masonry bit. We're going to use this to drill holes all around the diameter of the hole, and then we're going to knock the rest of it out with a hammer. You're definitely going to need a tape measure for this project to make sure that you get the hole placement just right. And we're going to be using some clear silicone to fill up any gaps that are going to be left over afterwards. We have our dryer vent, and we have our semi-rigid aluminum dryer hose here. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, now the first thing you're going to have to do is go ahead and find the placement of your hole. Now we've made ours about 8.5 inches from the ground up to the bottom here. And since our pipe is 4 inches, we're going to go ahead and make this a 4 1/8 inch. Now the next thing we're going to do is go ahead and take our drill, and we're going to drill our center hole to mark our brick, so that way we know where the center is. Once we get that hole cut out, we'll go ahead and drill through the rest of the way through the brick, and that way we'll know where our center hole is on the outside as well. As you can see, we've went ahead and drilled our hole all the way from the inside straight through to the outside. That's going to leave a hole on the outside of our brick wall, so we can use that as a center point to draw our 4 1/8 inch circle. Alright, as you can see, here's the hole on the outside. We went ahead and drew the diameter of the hole that we're wanting to cut out. And what we're going to do is take our hammer drill and our 3/8 inch masonry bit and go ahead and start drilling all the holes around the diameter pretty close together. And then we're going to take our hammer and chisel and knock the rest of the hole out. Alright, now that we got these holes all drilled about as close as we can, we're going to go ahead and take our hammer and chisel and start knocking the rest of the brick out. Alright, so now that we have our hole all drilled and chipped out, what we're going to do is go ahead and make sure this fits. So we'll stick it through here. May have to wiggle it around a little, but there we go. Fits just great. Now you'll see in each of these corners here, it has a hole. So what we're going to do is take our 3/16 masonry bit and drill through each of these, make sure it's all square and level and everything so it looks good. And then we're going to take some tap cons and pull this in place. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and put these 4 screws into place using tap cons. So we want to make sure we get it level. Alright. And then we're going to take our 3/16 inch masonry bit and drill each one of these holes. All right, now that we have that secured in place, we're going to go ahead and take this clear caulking and we're going to go around all the edges here to make sure that no water is going to get inside our wall. Alright, inside your aluminum vent hose, you should have 2 of these hose clamps that'll fit right over it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and slip this over our piece that we have stubbed through. Alright, you want to make sure you get it on as far as you can. And then we're going to be using a 5/16 inch bit here to go ahead and tighten it down. And you can also use just a regular flathead screwdriver and that'll work just as well. This is just a lot faster. You want to tighten it down to where it's good and snug and you know it ain't going to come off. Alright, now to finish this up, we're going to go ahead and take that other clamp that came with this, slide it over the hose like we did the other one, and we're going to slide it onto our dryer vent. Get it on there and go ahead and tighten it up. Again, you can always use a flathead screwdriver for these. They're set up for that as well. This is just a lot faster for me. Alright, now all we got to do is slide our dryer into place and go ahead and caulk around the hole that we drilled through the wall and we'll be done. Alright, now all that we have left to do is go ahead and caulk around the excess parts of this hole here. And then we'll push our dryer back into place and we'll be finished. I just wanted to point out that although everything I've been putting on looked white, it is actually a clear caulking. And it applies white and dries clear in 7 to 14 days. So it may take a while, but it does eventually dry clear. I hope you enjoyed this week's video. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And consider supporting BS with AJ on Patreon. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave those down in the comment section below. We'll see you next week.